got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State, on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enwawa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with the Daily Service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souq Enlightenment.
I was born on the 16th day of October, 63 years ago. I'm from Opobo, yeah, and went to school. I'm from Rivers State, from Opobo in Rivers State. Went to school in Port Harcourt, lived in Port Harcourt all my life, from primary to secondary school to A-levels. Then after A-levels, I got admission to Unilag. Immediately after Unilag, I got married, and I've lived in Lagos ever since. Well, it was fun for us because me and my husband were very young. My husband was 25, I was 21 and all that. But we learned on the job. We were friends. We were friends for 3 years when I was in Unilag, university, and we came out, we got married. So we're like children that just got married. But I had my parents. My parents were his very good friends. So when I get naughty, he would report me to my parents. When I didn't know these kind of duties were demands of somebody's wife, they would tell me, this is my responsibility. I'm like, no. I will agree to some, I will not agree to some. But I mean, it was fun. We had our ups and downs, but kind of pushed through it. And then the children started coming, and it was a different ballgame. You know, when you come from that kind of family, it's like part of your system. You don't really regard it as anything anymore. But sometimes I get the shock of my life because there was a time my in-laws came to Opobo for one ceremony, and I saw the king, and he gave me a hug and he gave me a pic, and they were like, "Whoa, the Upper Benin won't even shake your hand, as a woman." I'm like, okay. I mean, it's the same family, you understand? So we're used to that. I think we take it for granted. But maybe some other people say, "You must call me a princess, you must call me that." I'm not into all those kind of things. I'm not at all. I've never been. So I can't start tomorrow. But great King Jaja of Opobo, my great-great-grandfather. And my children, when they studied it in school, they went to Corona school. So they came, "Mom, we're telling our teacher and our classmates that this King Jaja of Opobo, they told them about King Jaja of Opobo in school." And they said, "That's my mommy's great-grandfather." Like, whoa, no, it was like a big deal to them. For us. Absolutely, upbringing, my personal choice too, because you could be brought up one way and choose to go another way. You understand? One of my philosophies in life is like this: you're not the tallest in the world, you're not the shortest, you're not the prettiest, you're not the ugliest, you're not the richest, you're not the poorest. Oh, of course, get with it. Do you understand? If you're looking for beauty, there are more beautiful women than you say. If you're looking for ugly, there are uglier women. If you're looking for tall, you're looking for it. So what is it? Do you understand? You didn't come into this world with anything. You're not going to go with anything. So just be grateful to God for whatever you have or whatever you are. Work towards improving on it, improving your relationship with God Almighty and improving your relationship with your fellow human beings. That's my philosophy in life. So what's the point of carrying all the air and chips on your shoulder? It makes life heavier for you. Seven is my favorite number. It's a number for perfection, and I was born on the 16th of October. My star sign is Libra. We're always looking for perfect balance in everything. It's just an influence from the horoscopes, I'm told. But J is my husband's name, D is my name, and 7 is my favorite number. Lazy way of forming the name of a company, isn't it? So I did, and it stuck. And I knew I was going to go into couture, so that was it. Easy. I was a victim of circumstance. I keep saying it. I didn't really come into business to be a fashion designer, to go into fashion, and creativity has always been something that's innate. Okay, even before I started making clothes or doing this, I used to always give designers the styles that I want them to make for me. I didn't have tailors, but when I finished my NYSC at Nigerian Television Authority in Victoria Island, I decided I wasn't going to work there. I wanted to work in a more organized setup. You understand? Because of management traineeship, because I never worked all my life. My parents were very protective. I'm the last girl in the family. They were always very protective. So I said I wanted to work somewhere, and I prayed about it. And I got into Unilever. Then it was called Labor Brothers. And for 5 years, but the intensity of work there became a bit much for me because I was a young mother. I had 2 kids then. Was going on having the 3rd one, so it became a bit time. Sometimes Unilever was one of the biggest. When the international directors come in, we used to be the ones to host them with all the Unilever affiliates. Linters, the advertising agency used to be all the Nigerian breweries, USC, you understand, AJC, we're all the Unilever group. Sometimes I won't get home until 3 a.m. when we are hosting, and with kids in the house, it can be a bit much. So I prayed about it and I decided something has to give. It's either your family, your children will not give them the attention they need then, and they were growing fast, or your job will suffer, and then you will not be happy, whichever way. So I decided, you know what, let my priority be my family. And I decided to go back. And I put in my resignation. That was not what I'm fine. When I did, my chairman refused to accept the resignation. So I had to use another way encourage him to accept it. So I left Unilever. I said, okay, I wasn't the type of person that was suited for being a housewife. I wanted to do the kind of business I would do, but still have 100% time for the kids. So when the kids said they're having something in school, I'm there, okay? I decided I was going to just market corporate gifts. When I was in Unilever, I was the assistant corporate affairs manager in charge of press. So, and being in Unilever at the corporate affairs level, I already knew a lot of companies. So I used that opportunity to get back to those companies and introduce my new business. And in the first year, I actually made more money than my 5-year stint in Unilever. So that was enough encouragement. You make more money doing your own business. You have more time for your kids, for your family, and for yourself. And you travel quite a bit because you have to go and buy the corporate gift. So it was a win-win. Then, a few years down the line, the president, Olusegun Obasanjo, came in and said they were doing backward integration and they were going to stop the importation of all this corporate gift and a lot of other things. So we were actually forced to look inwards. And when we started looking inwards, that's when it hit me that apart from Big, that was being produced by Eleganza, we're not really manufacturing anything in Nigeria apart from textiles and maybe I think Eleganza was doing food flask or something. Which corporate body do you want to give as end of year gift? So what we had to do now, because a lot of my clientele were like Shell, Chevron, I started looking inwards. I said, okay, if I have to do something, I can do beddings, pillowcase trimmings, table covers, table placemat, napkins with fabrics like Ashok and Adira. I can do jute bags, you know. It came to me. So I had to go and buy one machine and employed one tailor. So sometimes they will call me. I did some samples. So when, even in Abuja, when they were going to have, like I remember the West African Women's Affairs, they had a conference. So they wanted jute bags, and we had about 1,000 or 2,000 jute bags, and that was quite nice. Plus, apart from the end of year activities. So that's it. But you know, after those periods, you have periods of lull, that you're not using the machine and the tailor. You have to be paying tailor for doing it. I'm like, why am I going to these people to make my clothes? Tailor, oh yeah, this is the style I want. I started first by giving some of my clothes, repeat it. You did well. So I started designing. I could sketch very well. I was a science student in school, but I could sketch really well. So I was sketching, would do well. And sometimes when I wear the clothes and I go to supermarket, some women will just call me, hey, I really like this thing you're wearing. Please, where did you make it? I'm like, okay, I'll give you the address. I give them the address. They started coming. Before I could say that, within 1 month, I had over 50 women I had to make clothes for. And the one tailor was no longer enough. I had to employ 2 others. That was how we started. From 2 to 4, then I had a whole factory before you could see that. I started making school uniforms, started doing all kinds of things. And then some of the magazines, like Genevieve magazine, looked at me and like, are you sure you make this outfit? I thought you were a broadcaster. I thought you sell. I said, yes, I did. So I did some photo shoot session for her, and I modeled the clothes actually. And whoa, I started getting calls from Paris, from the UK. I did DC Fashion Week, you know. I was just, and they will pay your ticket, pay your hotel, please come and showcase for us. Some will even say, please come and open the show for us. Some say, we want you to close this. I'm like, okay. There are places that I would never have thought of going to, like Burkina Faso. They will back me, the top fashion designers there would, when the Alfadi does this, they want every 4 years. Alfadi in Niger. The Niger government sponsors it. He calls all, including Elisab, every international designer, they will go, especially the Moroccan ones, those North African ones, Indians. So they invite one designer from each country. So they used to call me to come because of what I used to work a lot with Ankara and Ashok, and I do international acclaimed, how would I put it, couture outfits with Ankara, big hats, funny looking, structured clothes and all that. So that was how it went, you know. And I did all the magazines. I've won all the awards. So after a while, you know, I started thinking of concentrating on exports. In the process of doing that, my husband took ill. After 2 years, we lost him. So when I came back home, I gave a lot of things a lot of thought. My kids were still in school. My daughter got married. She was in Australia already. And then my kids, my two boys were still in school. So I said, look, this fashion design thing, it's not going to pay school fees in pounds sterling and dollars. So I said to myself, you know what? Why don't you give the man hours to the industry, the family business that were yielding the most income? That was how I started kind of just saying, you know what, let me just minimize it a bit. My core clients were still coming. So I kept the tailors, my experienced tailors that worked with for years. I kept few of them. And I kind of cut down on that business. I said, you know what, let me just go and face the family business and do this for the people who really know what I'm doing. And word of mouth goes. So I'm still doing that, but my priority is really not that long. When you look at me the first time you see me, you see a fragile woman that don't like to sweat, that's spoiled, that like to be kept. I'm like, what? Absolutely not. My husband didn't want me to do anything. He just felt he wanted to spoil me. I said, that's not how to love me at all. Please. It's either you kind of understand the person I am. I'm a very creative mind. This mind has to keep working, or I'll make life miserable for you, you know. What I will advise, even women who are willing to work, you don't even do one job. You must get at least more than 2 streams of income. Otherwise, you will not make ends meet. That is the truth of today's world. You understand? Then those ones that want to be kept, no matter how wealthy your husband is, wealth is not static. Some people start today. When they retire, everything goes downhill. Some people mean well. They love you. They want to take care of you. But nature calls. They part ways. Some marry other women. Some leave. Some die. You understand? So anything can happen. I will advise them, everybody, try to be as independent as you can. Financially independent. I think you actually earn more respect when you do that. And then also, when things don't work out too well for the husband, no matter how rich you are, you don't have to put him through too much stress. You can take care of yourself, you take care of him, you encourage him, but let him not feel that the world has come to an end. You know, a man feels happy when he knows that his back is covered, even when he's not making it. You understand? It doesn't make him lazy. It makes him very grateful. Yeah. So I will advise everybody, get something doing. Do something that will enable you to earn good income if you can. Do something that you also enjoy doing. I've always believed in garbage in, garbage out. Yeah? Garbage in is the stress abound. You cannot control that. But you can control your attitude towards stress. Stress is the #1 killer and ages of everything in this world. It's your attitude to stress that you have to manage, and that depends on you. What you put in your mouth also depends on you. your mind, your heart, your spirit, your soul. You have to be loving. You have to be forgiving. You understand? All that depends on you. So it's actually you that decides whether you're going to age gracefully or you're not. Forget about the genes first. It's true. You understand? Some people are so malicious. When you offend them, oh my goodness, they will carry it in their chest, and the chest will be expanding, and they won't sleep well, and they begin to have problems. Meanwhile, the person you're angry with does not even know you exist. It's crazy. So for me, it's just be free and take life easy. Take it as it comes, and always be grateful to God. I'm too honest and straightforward. It's either I will be killed immediately, or because I will tell you the truth, no matter whose house is God. I don't think I can play politics. I'm not a politician at all. I am a very straight shooter. I will tell you to your face when you're doing stupid things. That was my relationship with my mom, my dad, my husband. So most times, I'm the last girl in the house. So maybe when they were disciplining the first ones, by the time they got to my turn, they were a bit tired. So we could talk to my parents anyhow. But I don't do it to create whatever. I just feel that if anybody worth talking to, is worth talking to with honesty and integrity. And when you want to play politics, they will see something that is black. They will say it's yellow. I can't do that. For the love of me, I don't. So politics is not my call. And because of that, they will not allow your creativity to come out, your sincerity. What's the point? Yes. I'm actually planning some kind of, I met some of my old models that are doing very well. And when you deal with a lot of these girls, some of them have traveled with me to Niger. Sometimes they'll tell you, bring 2 of your models. Some of them, we have very good relationship. We're going to do a reunion one of these days. It will be fun. And they are all calling, when are we going to do this? I say, don't worry, we'll get a reunion done. Because we need to revisit the fashion industry, see how things are going. They're doing well. The new ones are doing well. And I just pray that the environment will not discourage them, It's not just Nigeria, it's the world. Whatever is happening in Nigeria is what. The truth is, a crate of egg in Nigeria is still cheaper than a crate of egg in the US and in the UK, even with the exchange rate. So it's not just Nigeria, the world is experiencing some kind of. The way I see it is like the pangs of birth before the child finally comes. That intense labor. And then when the child is born, everything is calm and beautiful, everybody's happy. I think we are just towards the end of the labor pain. It's going to get better, but we're going to pass through a lot of that before it gets better. And when it finally gets better, we'll all be smiling. But right now, the whole world, not just Nigeria, is crazy. If you look at international, listen to international news, it's actually crazier than here. I just pray. Yes, I live opposite. I won't even say it. On the street, one of the big men that live on that street, his birthday was yesterday, and the whole street was filled with beggars, hungry people. It was really crazy. I felt so bad. We were pushing each other, killing each other, fighting just to get a plate of jollof rice. It was very sad. It didn't used to be that bad. There were a few people who would come hang around, but the whole street, I couldn't move anywhere yesterday because of it. But I hope it gets better soon, so that the best in all of us can come out. Because hunger and poverty can actually bring out the worst in people. Naturally, yes. I have an NGO that I do. What I do, I take girls young girls that are not able to complete school because of poverty, and I educate them. You understand? I try to pay school fees, help people, and I believe in education a lot. Yeah, because I don't believe in giving you the fish. I believe in teaching you how to fish. I have few of them from my place come stay with me. Some of them are able to stand the discipline. Some of them are not able. So the ones that are able to stay, they stay, and they do very well. Some of them I train from a distance and they do well. So I've had university graduates, I have the levels, I have all kinds of things. That's what I do. And most people come to me naturally, not because I'm a trained mentor or anything. When you do anything out of love, an act of sincerity of purpose, and because they see you as genuine, they listen to you. You understand? When you mean well, you tell people the honest truth, and they, it's not easy sometimes, but yes, a kind of mentor.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Hello and welcome to Souqnews Television. We are reaching you live from our studios at Souqnews Television in Lagos. I'm Oyinpriye Krumale. The Nigerian Exchange Limited gained 764 billion naira on Tuesday, driven by strong investor interest in blue chip and consumer goods stocks. The oil share index rose by 1.02% to close at 119,790.82 points, raising the market capitalization to 75.6 trillion naira from 74.8 trillion naira. 61 stocks posted gains, led by Okomo Oil, Better Glass, and Dangote Sugar, each rising by 10%. Trading volume rose by 16% to 756.5 million shares, worth 23.29 billion naira across 22,206 deals. Sector performance was broadly positive, with the industrial goods and consumer goods indices recording significant gains. Royal Exchange Fidelity Bank and Access Holdings led the activity chart, reflecting strong investor confidence in key sectors. Nigeria signed a new memorandum of understanding with India to block the production of codeine-based syrups intended for importation into the country. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency said the agreement is part of broader efforts to reduce drug availability, accessibility, and was disclosed by the Apapa Strategic Commander, Buba Wakawa, during a press briefing ahead of the 2025 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Wakawa emphasized the importance of investing in drug prevention to protect public health and security. He noted that Nigeria continues to share intelligence with local and international agencies to tackle drug importation. The 2025 awareness event themed "The Evidence is Clear, Invest in Prevention, Break the Cycle" aligns with NDLEA's war against drug abuse and strategy, as the drug use among Nigerians aged 15 to 64 is estimated at 14.3 million, according to the 2018 United Nations survey. Moving on, Nigeria and other African countries are engaging China on strategies to strengthen capacity building, professional certifications, and infrastructure delivery. The high-level mission led by the Project Management Institute, Sub-Saharan Africa, includes senior government officials and corporate leaders from across the continent. The delegation is in China to study how the country has developed its strength in large-scale project execution through structured planning and institutional discipline. The visit includes meeting with major Chinese organizations and universities to explore how China integrates project management into national development. African delegates are participating in policy discussions, symposiums, and knowledge exchange forums with key Chinese institutions focusing on talent development, long-term investment in skills, and professional standards. The delegation aims to return with practical insights for strengthening Africa's infrastructure and delivery systems. The Project Management Institute stated that the ability to consistently deliver results has become a critical factor in national development as urbanization, digital transformation, and industrial growth accelerate in Africa. The demand for trained project professionals continues to rise. However, sub-Saharan Africa currently accounts for only 2% of the global pool of certified project managers. Moving on, the Debt Management Office has raised 100 billion naira through the June 2025 federal government bond auction held to support the national budget and management domestic debt. 2 bonds were issued, a 5-year bond at 19.30% maturing in April 2029 and a new 7-year bond at 17.95% maturing in June 2032. The 5-year bond drew 41.685 billion naira in bids, but only 1.050 billion naira was allotted. In contrast, the 7-year bond attracted strong interest with 561.170 billion naira in subscription and 98.950 billion naira allotted. The bond issuance aligns with Nigeria's debt financing framework under the Debt Management Office Act and Local Loans Act. Marginal rates cleared at 17.75% for the 5-year bond and 17.95% for the 7-year bond, with the original coupon rates remaining effective. Bonds are priced at 1,000 naira per unit with a minimum bid of 50,000 and 1 million naira, beg your pardon, and settlement is set for June 25, 2025. Investors will receive semi-annual interest and principal repayments will be made in full at maturity. Now, fuel marketers have called on the federal government to act swiftly as rising global oil prices driven by the Iran-Israel conflict threaten to push petrol prices above 1,000 naira per liter. Despite a temporary drop in crude prices to below 70 United States dollar per barrel, recent volatility has already raised the cost of refined products. The marketers are urging the government to peg crude prices for local refineries, especially Dangote Refinery, to protect low-income Nigerians from potential fuel crisis. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria warned that without urgent intervention, the soaring costs could trigger another wave of inflation and worsen energy poverty. They recommended strengthening the naira for crude deal and increasing crude allocation to local refineries. Stakeholders also want new board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to boost crude production and revive public refineries to ensure stable supply and reduce reliance on imports. Many thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souqnews Television. Coming up shortly is Just Africa. We're back with you in a moment. Do stay with us.
Ovia, one of the most influential and successful businessmen in Nigeria, who has made a mark in the financial system. He is the founder and chairman of Zenith Bank, one of Africa's largest and most profitable banks. He has been described by Forbes Africa as the godfather of banking in Nigeria.
My name is Jim Ovia. I'm chairman of Zenith Bank, and I thank you all for listening to me.
This illustrious son of Africa was one of the financial leaders who revolutionized the banking sector in Nigeria. Let's take a close look into the life, background, career, and achievements of this enigma, Jim Ovia. Jim Ovia was born on November 4, 1951 in Agbo, Delta State, Nigeria, to a large family as the second son of Chief Obi Olihe of Agbobi in Delta State. Being one from a humble background, Jim attended local schools as he had lost his father at the tender age of 4. His widowed mother, together with his older brother, saw him through school. He had secondary education at Ika Grammar School in Agbo. Due to his interest in business and technology, he proceeded to the United States to study business administration at Southern University, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, USA, where he obtained a bachelor's degree in 1977. He followed to University of Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, and bagged a master's degree in business administration in 1979. Jim Ovia is also an alumnus of the prestigious Harvard Business School. Jim Ovia worked briefly as a clerk in Union Bank in 1973 before proceeding for tertiary studies. Upon acquiring immense business knowledge from international institutions, he returned to Nigeria, his home country, and began a career in banking. He continued at this for years, working for banks such as Lion Bank, Merchant Bank of Africa, and International Merchant Bank. After many years in the banking industry, in 1990, Jim came together with some colleagues to found one of Africa's largest and most profitable bank, Zenith Bank. The bank was established with a vision to provide excellent customer service, innovative and technology-driven banking. Zenith Bank flourished as it drew customers who sought excellence in financial services. What started with an asset of $4 million and about 50 staff has grown into over $24 billion in assets and shareholders' funds of more than $3 billion as of June 2022. Zenith Bank is listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and London Stock Exchange. Jim Ovia served as Zenith Bank's Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director from 1990 to 2010, and then Chairman from 2010 to 2014. After a brief break, he returned as Chairman of the bank in 2016 and remains so till date. Under his leadership, Zenith Bank has grown to become one of the leading banks in Nigeria and Africa, standing tall among some of Nigeria's first-generation banks of repute, a feat rare for second-generation banks established in a time of tension between military and civilian regimes and economic instability.
We will build our own roads to our branches if we're building branches in some cities, towns where the roads are not good enough. We have also bought power plants, generating sets to power electricity into our building. When we do all this, we also even had dug borehole to supply water to the building. When we do all this, what I personally call it is BYOI, bring your own infrastructure or build your own infrastructure.
Jim Ovia served as Zenith Bank's Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director from 1990 to 2010, and then Chairman from 2010 to 2014. After a brief break, he returned as Chairman of the bank in 2016 and remains so till date. Under his leadership, Zenith Bank has grown to become one of the leading banks in Nigeria and Africa, standing tall among some of Nigeria's first-generation banks of repute, a feat rare for second-generation banks established in a time of tension between military and civilian regimes. Zenith Bank has diversified its services to include insurance, pensions, stockbroking, and investment banking. The bank has won awards and recognition for its performance, governance, innovation, and social responsibility, inspired by its chairman's belief in giving back to community.
Really, it's my special pleasure, my honor indeed, for this opportunity offered by AAI to be awarded in the category of Business Leadership Award for 2017.
As an entrepreneur, Jim Ovia has made investments in sectors other than banking. They include oil and gas, telecommunication, real estate, power generation, media, and most recently, education. He is the founder and chancellor, James Hope University, Lekki, Lagos State, which has been approved by the National Universities Commission, NUC, to offer postgraduate degrees in business courses. Jim Ovia is a man who believes in giving back to society. He has engaged in philanthropic works through his foundations, Mankind United to support total education, MUSTE, and Youth Empowerment, ICT Foundation. These foundations award scholarships to indigenous students and promote information and communication technology in Nigeria through various initiatives. Ovia has made donations towards courses and institutions. They include Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, NIPC, Nigerian Internet Group, NIG, Lagos State University, and National Information Technology Advisory Council, just to mention a few. In recognition of his contributions, Jim Ovia is a recipient of many honors and awards. In 2012, the University of Benin awarded him an honorary doctorate degree. Former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2022 conferred him with the national honor of the Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, CFR. Also in 2022, Jim Ovia was conferred with the National Productivity Order of Merit, NPOM award by the federal government of Nigeria. Jim Ovia is a proud member of the World Economic Forum, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He is also a member of several boards and councils.
We can't afford to lose depositors' money. We can't afford to lose money that belongs to stakeholders. So you must structure your industry in such a way that the best and nothing but the best are there.
As chairman of Zenith Bank with more than 9% stake, Jim Ovia in 2015 was estimated by Forbes to have a net worth of $550 million. This net worth obviously has been surpassed since then. Jim Ovia, as a business person, founded 5 companies. They are Zenith Bank PLC, the Quantum Group, Visaphone Communications, Quantum Luxury Properties, Civic Center Towers, and Cyberspace Network. Jim is member, Honorary International Investors Council. Kay Ovia is CEO, Quantum Markets Limited, a firm that offers stock brokerage services. She sits on the board of several organizations and is chairman, board of directors of Cyberspace Limited, a leading software engineering company. Cyberspace Limited is one of the pioneers in provision of internet services in Nigeria, providing network and software services. Kay, being at the head of a tech giant in Nigeria, teamed up with her husband, Jim, to strategically deploy robust IT infrastructure at Zenith Bank, which resulted in the development of digital products and technology-driven banking in Nigeria. Kay is an alumnus of Enugu State University of Technology, Souq, where she holds an MBA in management. She is much given to philanthropy, with several initiatives to transform lives, particularly those of the underprivileged. One of her projects targeted at children and youths, Star Rising Talent Hunt, aims at discovering and projecting hidden talents. Jim is married to businesswoman and philanthropist Kay Ovia. She's also a hotelier, proudly running Starwood Hotels. Jim and Kay Ovia are blessed with 5 children: Isioma, Zephyr, Tito, Tommy, and Jesse. As a family man, Ovia enjoys spending time with his family. He also likes reading and traveling. In order to pass on his vast wealth of knowledge on business and finance to African entrepreneurs, Jim Ovia authored a book titled Africa, Rise and Shine. The book was published in 2018 by Forbes Books. The book was written after he featured in an issue of Forbes, and it became the magazine's best-selling edition in Africa, that it had to be reprinted 4 times. The book, Africa Rise and Shine, paints the picture of his humble beginning from the small town of Agbo in Delta State, and against all odds, pushed through to become a global business icon, while providing insight on how to conquer challenges in African markets, taking advantage of the opportunities. The man, Jim Ovia, is a firm believer of Africa being a continent abundant with natural and human resources. He has constantly pitched the continent as a land filled with investment opportunities in international business forums such as the Harvard Business School Annual Africa Business Conference, Bloomberg Global Business Forum, Commonwealth Business Forum, and the World Economic Forum, where he has been invited to participate and even deliver keynote address. Jim Ovia remains one of the pride of Africa and a great contributor to Nigeria's economy and the financial landscape in Africa.
Of what makes us human is our ability to pay attention, be present in our experiences, and channel our thoughts and actions towards meaningful goals. However, for individuals with ADHD, which is considered a neurodevelopmental disorder, a medical condition that affects the brain. This fundamental aspect of human nature is often disrupted, leading to difficulties in maintaining focus, controlling impulses, and regulating behaviors.
Hyperactivity disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder that occurs in children and adolescents. It's a problem that has to do with brain development and the brain function. And the ADHD symptoms range from inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. They may be very restless, fidgeting, and they're always on the move. And sometimes they may be climbing, jumping from here and there. That they may injure themselves in the process.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is one of the most common mental disorders diagnosed in children, though it can persist into adolescent and adulthood. The history dates back to 1798, when a Scottish doctor, Sir Alexander Crichton, observed that some individuals were easily distracted and unable to focus on their activities as others could. He noted that these symptoms often began early in life, which is consistent with what we now recognize as ADHD. The disorder typically manifests between the ages of 3 and 6, with symptoms such as difficulty in focusing, excessive movement inappropriate to the setting, and impulsive actions occurring without forethought. This ailment affects people of all ages, though most commonly diagnosed in children. The average age of onset is around 7 years, with symptoms significantly impacting various aspects of life. Approximately 5 to 10 of children worldwide are affected, with the highest prevalence rates observed in Africa at 8.5% and South America at 11.5%. Variations exist across different countries, with lower rates in Japan and Finland and higher rates in Jamaica and Thailand. In the United States, about 7% of children are diagnosed with this disorder, reflecting an average of prevalence globally.
Differentiate between ADHD and other neurodevelopmental disorders. It starts with comprehensive assessment. And when I talk about assessment, I mean assessment by child psychiatrists, assessment by child psychologists, and other professionals in the mental health team. And of course, there are some basic symptoms that are very clear and obvious. The clinical presentation, when you see a child that is hyperactive, that is impulsive, that is inattentive, that itself can give you a clue that that child may be having ADHD symptoms. And again, you also take further history. You may need to take, if there's a family history of ADHD in the setting, because if there's a family history of ADHD, the child may come out with ADHD in the nearest future.
Individuals affected faces challenges that extend into academic performance, work or personal relationships, and social domains. Some of the signs include constant fidgeting, impulsiveness, and difficulty completing tasks, alongside emotional struggles such as mood swings, low self-esteem, and frustration.
The diagnosis is made following a comprehensive assessment, and you also do some basic psychological investigations, and of course, by combining the report from the child psychiatrist and the child psychologist, you'll be very comfortable to make a diagnosis. And of course, I must say that there are some childhood disorders that may mimic ADHD, like learning disability, like autism spectrum disorders. But the symptoms of ADHD are so very obvious that when you see a child that is hyperactive and oftentimes restless, oftentimes impulsive and unable to follow instructions, that should give you a high index of suspicion that that child may be struggling with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
While it's not a physical ailment like a broken bone, it is a real condition that is frequently accompanied by other conditions such as major depressive disorder, anxiety, substance abuse, learning disabilities, conduct disorder, and oppositional defense disorder, which complicates the management and treatment of the disorder. Treatment for ADHD typically involves a combination of medical therapy and behavioral interventions. Stimulants are also the most commonly used, with 70 to 80% of children experiencing symptoms relief. Cognitive behavioral therapy, anger management, and family therapy are key in managing symptoms, along with educational interventions that enhance coping strategies and organizational skills. While these treatments help manage ADHD, they do not cure it, highlighting the need for ongoing support and personalized care. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is a complex condition with far-reaching effects on behavior, cognition, and emotional well-being. Continued research and effective treatments are vital in helping those affected lead fulfilling lives and contribute meaningfully to their society. Grace Komolafe, Souqnews TV.
At the African Development Study Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade, and later under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an Armed Forces Remembrance Cenotaph called
Hello and welcome to Just Africa, where we dive deep into the trends shaping our world. Now, in today's fast-paced, interconnected world, leadership is no longer defined solely by vision or charisma. It is defined by adaptability, efficiency, and ability to harness technology for public and private good. Digital administration is not just technical upgrade, it's a leadership philosophy. On one hand, the call for transparency, agility, inclusion, and smart decision-making backed by data, from e-governance to AI-driven public services, from digital identity systems to automated workflows in corporate organization. We are witnessing a paradigm shift in how leaders lead and how institutions serve. But with innovations comes responsibility. Yes, the responsibility to protect data, to bridge the digital divide, and to train the workforce, and to ensure that no one is left behind in the race for digital transformation. I am Olumide Shokoya. Of course, I'm not the only one. I have my co-host, Swift Aderinto. How you doing?
Good morning, Olumide. I love your look. You look good. How you doing?
I'm good. Always looking good.
That's for the ladies. Anyway, good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. And of course, welcome. We're talking about something very interesting and something that is cool. You know the story about, I don't want to call brands. There was a particular phone that you used to ping with. And then they told them that they needed to move to Android. And they were like, nah. And at the end of the day, they got sold. The idea is, if you do not move, there's a paradigm shift. Yes. You always have to look for the next thing because it will catch up, it will sneak up on you. That's the way it is. Our leaders right now, the next thing is they say data is the new gold. It's not life again. Yes. And data is the new gold. So getting the numbers, putting it together, because the numbers don't lie. Algorithms don't lie. Yes. They are straightforward. You see them. And in governance right now, we have gotten to the point where, especially in Africa, we don't trust our leaders. We feel like when a leader says A, it means B. And looking at countries like Singapore that have moved to be highly digital, we look at their shipping, it takes 3 days to clear because you're not talking to anybody. You are putting in cards, you are putting in your data, this is what I've brought into the country. They are just checking it online. Human beings, you don't need to greet anybody. You don't need to know anybody.
You need to grease palms.
And that is the challenge we have in Nigeria, from the educational sector to the political to financing, even to as small as loans. Food, drink, you must greet somebody, you must know Tani Babae, you know what's your name. But when the system becomes revolutionized, that all we are looking at is data, a strategy that is just following from data, then at this point, I think Africa will move forward. So digital innovation is the next step, especially for leadership, if we want to grow Africa. That's the truth.
Well said. Now, on Just Africa today, we will explore questions like how can digital tools enhance accountability, serve, and service delivery? What does ethical leadership look like in a digital-first world? And how do we ensure innovations uplift all, not just a few? As we begin today's session, let us remember that leadership is in a digital era, and it's not about replacing human element. It's about amplifying it. It's about using innovation to serve people better, faster, and more fairly. So we're going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll bring in our guest. Stay tuned.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge, ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Markets, Souq Enlightenment. Tafawa Balewa Square, TBS. Tafawa Balewa Square was initially used as a horsing ground called Lagos Race Course. The edifice was constructed by General Yakubu Gowon in 1972 and named after Nigeria's first Prime Minister, Sir Tafawa Balewa. Tafawa Balewa Square is located at 45/57 Marse Bangboshe Street on Lagos Island, Lagos, and referred to as TBS. TBS is a 50,000-seater capacity venue and houses the Remembrance Arcade, the 26-story Independence House, which at a time was the country's tallest building. When Lagos served as the country's seat of government, the National Assembly Complex was within the TBS. Also in the square are the National Broadcasting Commission Office, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency Office, shopping centers, travel agencies, restaurants, car parking lots, and a bus terminal. Tafawa Balewa Square is adorned with beautiful statues of white horses and red eagles, symbols of strength and dignity. Our historic neighbors include the King's College and the Holy Cross Cathedral. Tafawa Balewa Square hosted some of the country's memorable events, such as the Independence Day in 1960, when Nigeria gained independence from Britain, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, which is celebrated annually on January 15. The edifice is a national cultural asset. Tafawa Balewa Square, Souq Enlightenment.
Cashew nuts, ranked among Ivory Coast top cash crops, play a crucial role in the country's economy, generating substantial revenue and supporting livelihoods across the country. As the world's leading exporter of raw cashew nuts, Ivory Coast contributes an estimated $800 million annually to its economy and also serves as a vital source of income for over 410,000 families, particularly in rural areas where few other opportunities exist. Cashew trees flourish in Ivory Coast northern regions, including Bondukau and Savannah, known for its high-quality nuts and extensive plantations, just as Worondogu and Bagwe in the north central and northwest are also emerging as key producers. These regions not only drive Ivory Coast cashew production, but also support local livelihoods and economic growth. However, the country with over 29 million citizens is yet to fully realize the potential of its cashew industry. Despite being the top producer, the country processes only 7% of its cashew domestically, resulting in lost opportunities for value addition and job creation. Specifically, a recent data reveals that only 22% of the country's cashew nut output was processed domestically in 2023, even as the volatility of global cashew prices poses risks to farmers' income and overall economic stability. Concerns also arise regarding labor practices in some cashew farms and the environmental impact of deforestation for new plantations. To address this,
Welcome back to Just Africa. Our topic for today is digital administration, driving innovation at the core of leadership. And our guest is Mr. Samuel Ayedun. I love that name. He is a professional business analyst, project manager, tech, and leadership enthusiast, passionate about business growth, strategy, development, and process improvement. Good morning and welcome to Just Africa.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
So glad to have you.
Thank you.
So let's jump right into it.
All right.
How would you define digital leadership in today's governance and administration?
Okay, so if I'm to put it in context, digital leadership, it's basically an organization or any government parastatal deploying digital tools for business transformation, leveraging on technology. Okay. Now, to make it more simple, everybody uses Facebook. But by the time you start using Facebook to make money, to drive impact, then you are different in the way you are doing it. So digital transformation is the first keyword, right, before leveraging on technology. Now, the other part to it is, what are the objectives? Number one, it must be seamless, it must be fair, it should bring about some sort of transparency, and then it must be sustainable. So that's the best way I could put it.
So if I may ask, looking at Africa, which country would you say has fully upgraded to 100% digital leadership?
Okay, so we're in Nigeria, right?
Yes.
And I must be a fan of the country.
Yes.
But I think that Rwanda is doing a great job.
Rwanda?
Yes, Rwanda is doing a great job. And of recent, I've started following Burkina Faso on the basis of what is happening there. And I noticed that somebody, I've forgotten the name right now, but I think the country has started producing electric cars too, which is something that is fantastic.
Really? Also...
Well, yes, we know, but I think over there, the electric cars, there is an innovation for electric cars, and there is one that uses hydrogen, so hydro-powered electric cars. Yeah, so all of that. So I think Rwanda is piloting the way in terms of digital innovation, and other countries are following up. Oh, okay, not South Africa too, South Africa. So, but Nigeria, I think we're improving, and it can be better.
Okay, so coming from education, because the first question I'm going to ask you is the last JAM, there was a lot of problems, and the problems came from the fact that the government is trying to digitalize, computerize JAM. And so I'm going to ask you, since you are one of the stakeholders in the country when it comes to innovation and leadership, and you're an enthusiast, what do you think the government can do differently? Because I was on social media and I saw a lot of people saying, oh, the registrar should resign. I said, no, that's not the problem. The head of the computer room should resign. Oh, I just want to find out, because I want to take it back home. What do you think the government can do, differently, looking at JAM, using JAM as a case study, for example, in Nigeria?
So first, let me take us back to some basics of business analysis in the perspective of what we call stakeholder engagement. What I've seen by experience really is whenever you are about to deploy a technological advanced tool, people that don't want it to work have something they are gaining from it.
Yes.
I hope you get the point. So to deploy such things, it is imperative that at the beginning, you have agreeable stakeholders. It is when you don't have people who align with the vision that you begin to have, such happenings, which is very bad, by the way, because of the people who are victimized by it.
Yes.
Secondly, in practice, whenever you're about to deploy any technological tool, there is an exercise that is being called red teaming. What it simply does is this. So let's take, I am Samuel, and you are here. You and I were talking about how to deploy this. But then it is very okay for us, or it is very necessary for us that at some point we take the devil's advocates to that initiative Sit at the back and say, hey, this thing we are deploying, how can it go south?
Yes.
For the lack of a better word. When we think of all of those things, it will help us, it will help us on how to put necessary risk management processes in place. So that's pretty much. So talking about government, I really feel that every time we're about to deploy something that will pay the masses, the first issue we get wrong is the wrong stakeholders, because when we don't have everybody aligning, then that's where you get to see some of those things,
So what brings me to another question.
Yes.
What qualities now do you think a leader, a stakeholder, whoever, must possess to effectively drive digital transformation?
Thank you very much. I think the first one will be passion. Passion for problem solving. Why did I say that? Let me take you back to some years when I was working in the UK. So I worked in an automotive sector in the UK, right? And that was when the whole talk about electric cars, were just coming up. Now, one of the senior managers there knew I had passion for cars. So every time he was coming to pick me from the train station, he would say, there is a new car coming in, would you like to join? And I would jump at it.
Yes.
Now, there was this car, Renault Kadjar. Mind you, don't forget, I said, I like cars. Renault Kadjar. So they brought in Renault Kadjar to the parking lot. And the guy, knowing that the African guy that I am, he wanted to surprise me. Then he said, this car will find the slots to park by itself. I said, no, it can't be. It's
impossible.
To cut my long story short, every time the car found an empty parking space, it would give a signal.
Wow.
Now, to make it worse, the car actually parked by. I saw the driver took his hands off, and then the car was moving. The African in me, in my mind, started doing blood of Jesus. But that's just by the side.
Yes.
It brings me to the next point, openness.
Okay.
If you don't have that openness to new things, you can't embrace something new.
Yes.
So problem solving is one, openness, curiosity. Actually, curiosity will drive problem solving, right? And then the last one is strategy and execution. It's all good to talk about these lofty goals like building castles in the sky, but without execution, we won't get to where we are going to.
Yes. Now, you said openness.
Yes, please.
Yes.
A thought came to my mind.
Yes.
Now, so do you believe that digital innovation, it's all about technology alone or just the mind asset?
I think it starts from the mind. Yeah. Whatever the man can conceive, it can bring to reality, right? So take, for example, my example would be a bit awkward, but, it's something that is still applicable. A long time ago, before now, wearing native and canvas
Was weird.
Yes, we seem off, You look like a lunatic or something. But somebody did it, and now it has become a trend. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you are of the generation that still maintains that closed mindset, you wouldn't, embrace that initiative. So I think it starts from the mind. Whatever the mind can conceive, with proper efforts in place and passionate people, you can bring to reality.
Okay. So talking about bringing to reality, a friend of mine that works in one of the biggest hospitals, federal-owned hospital in Nigeria, talked about the fact that when a lot of people relocate abroad, now there's digital pensioning. So once your salary is being paid from the Abuja office, it's deducted. It comes, your pension is deducted, housing, whatever, and your main income comes to you. Now, people relocated. They resigned. But they are in America, the UK, they are working, they are doctors, they are nurses. They are still getting their pension alerts. Meaning that someone in Nigeria has refused to alert the federal government that this person is no more our staff. So federal government has 500 staff. 300 or 200 have left the country. And so we are crying that we're understaffed in government hospitals. I'm sorry to have this, my question has a long story. And then, I want to say something. Do you think that Africans, our empathy, sympathy, because my friend abroad was saying, if he reports it officially, somebody will lose their job. And these are people he has worked with. Some of them too are doctors, because they're all splitting this your salary that is coming in. But you are getting your pension payments. And another fear is, if I come back to Nigeria, and it is recorded that I have reported, it means that I will not be able to work here because you can never tell who this person's relative is. So my question is, do you think that sentiments, fear of who, because Africans, we are our brother's keeper, that's the truth, compared to Yoruba people. Do you think this is one of the things that hinders innovation and deployment of technology to its full effect in Africa?
Okay, so thank you. Like I said initially, right, what I've seen by experience is when you have hindrances to the successful deployment of anything that will improve our lives, go look from the back curtain, you'll see that some people are actually benefiting from it.
Yes.
What is happening in the health sector, like you mentioned, is particularly concerning, because just recent, I went to the hospital, and with a relative of mine, and for some reason, the person they brought to come speak to us was not so professional, and I couldn't take that risk. But again, yes, we are our brother's keepers, but if we have the humane mindset, right, to know that whatever we do, being our brother's keeper, will affect many lives negatively, then I think somebody who is in his right senses, a leader, right, should try their possible best to make sure that they don't encourage such. So, your friend in abroad who is working and still receiving pension, in the spirit of integrity, like our parents taught us, if I were him, I would say, look, I don't need this again, right? I mean, it can go, anybody can benefit from it. I'm already working, I'm earning what I'm earning here. So being the brother's keeper doesn't mean that you should, how will I put it, cause harm to humanity, and that's the best way I can put it, I don't know if I answered your question rightly.
Okay, so my follow-up question will be, do you think government should put in place strict measures? So, for example, you are abroad, you have been earning a pension, you refuse to report it, there's a clamp down for you. You are in Nigeria, you have been eating this money, there's a clamp down. So, do you think government is not putting enough measures because you have deployed this technology? You have spent billions.
Yes.
We all know that if it's supposed to be 1,000 naira, by the time the kickbacks come in, it's 10,000 naira. You have spent billions deploying this technology. Do you think government is not doing enough to protect this technology?
I would not say the government is not doing enough, because if you happen to meet some of the people who have their seats, at the political side of things, you would get to know that they are really working hard. What I would say really is maybe there are not enough checks and balances. So compliance is faulty, right? You've deployed a system today, and by all logical standard, you are supposed to be checkmating on the effectiveness of that system. That's what business analysts do anyway. When we assist you to deploy a business, we come back 6 months, 3 months periodically to say, hey, how is this thing doing? Is this still meeting the business case? And all that. But when there are no checks and balances, right? When compliance is not taken like life, then many things can just creep in. So we are doing enough, but I just think we need to do more in terms of the compliance processes we put in place and the checks and balances.
All right, thank you very much. Now, so my question, before I ask my question, if you look at certain ministries in the government, they are going into the digital era. I mean, one is the Nigerian Railway Corporation.
Yes.
I remember before you have to get to the railway station as early as 6 and wait till probably 7, and the queue is long, and you have to wait till they pay, and that is if the train does not leave before that time. But now it's gone digital, because I also accessed the train weekend last weekend, and now so you can sit at the comfort of your house, book your ticket, and everything goes smooth. And then you have to just go to the counter and everything, show them your barcode and scan it, and that's it. Also, when Tunji Ojo came in, he cleared the backlog of passports, and now you can also go online and everything.
And just,
So my question is, how can digital leaders ensure that innovation is all-inclusive and does not, segregate between, or there's no gap between the urban and rural, the rich and poor, the connected or disconnected?
Okay, thank you very much. So, unfortunately for me, I've never had to board a train in Nigeria. So, I can't. Yeah, all right. Maybe one of these days I would. I can't relate. But I remember going to France, and then one of the things that astonished me back then was when they say train is arriving in 1 minute, it actually comes as at 1 minute. You understand what I'm saying? So speaking of digital inclusion, I really think that what we can do is not to ostracize those who you consider illiterate. Because in UK, for example, when you go to train stations, in as much as it is a self-help, right? You can read, you can write, you can easily assist yourself. There are certain personnel in place that are there to assist people who do not have that advantage of literacy to run the processes themselves. Okay. So I think that is what we need also in Nigeria. And they are not judgmental people. Yes. They are not the kind of people that will say, you cannot read, don't disturb me. You know, this Nigerian attitude, you cannot read, don't disturb me. Rather, they are humble people, rather persuasive in persona. They come to you, they even say, how can I be of help? You see on their shirt, how can I help you? You know. So by so doing, I mean, if you teach, no matter how illiterate somebody is, if you make the person go through a particular process 1, 2, 3, 5 times, learning curve, the theory of learning curve states that as they keep repeating a particular process, the learning increases. And next time, you know, you probably wouldn't need to help them again. So I think that's the best way to have a complete 360-degree digital inclusion for any deployment at all.
Yeah, through the learning curve. All right, so I wanted to ask you, we talked about culture. We can't take culture away from Africa. Exactly. And now we are looking at digital inclusion. So we have royal fathers, we have kings, we have our tradition. These things, we hold them dearly.
Yes, please.
And because of how dear these things are to us, every time you talk about technology, you talk about advancements, like you said, they are, I won't call them devils. They are these people that it's like a stopping board in Africa. Yeah. My question is, how do you think that the innovations we are making, we can include our culture, being particular to our culture? Because I tell you, culture is life. And the truth is, we cannot throw away culture. So, for example, my cousin traveled to the UK years ago, and she realized that when you want to board a bus, there are elderly people that are retired at 60-something. If you are sitting down, even in the UK, and those people are standing, it's mandatory for you to get up so that they can sit. Now we're looking at, there's innovation, this is the next step. We're looking at trains, we're looking at BRTs. I noticed that some days ago, there was this very old man, because I bought the BRT, it's more convenient. And the man was standing, and everybody was sitting. And I wanted to get up, and then the guy in front of me was like, please come and sit. And I tapped him, and I said, amazing, you know, that kind of thing. What can we do in Africa to include our culture so that the older people, they don't feel left out? Not just for BRTs, we're talking about banking, apps, you know, where you stand. What do you think it's important for us?
Okay, so I would say it starts with orientation, right? Speaking about culture, which is particularly paramount, you know, no matter whatever solution you're trying to deploy. I also remember, you know, when I was in the UK, and every time you see somebody who wants to bypass the queue at the ATM, and then they will ask you, are you all right? You know, because that's what we do, you know, that's what we are. But right here in Nigeria, it's like, I mean, if you do that, it's like, oh, you're a boss. Yeah, you get what I'm saying, you know. But it starts from culture, and then not neglecting the senior citizens, you know. Like you said, I don't think we can throw away our culture whatsoever. This scenario you painted about the boss is particularly concerning because I still have respect for my elders, no matter how civilized I see myself, right? So I think that as part of the orientation that comes in advance of the deployment, there should be a clause for consideration of senior citizens. By so doing, everybody will be aware that when you see your daddy's mate, when you see your mommy's mate on a bus, or having it difficult to use a particular technology, you can help out to say, okay, how can I assist you without trying to take advantage of them, you know. So I think that's the best. So it starts from orientation, really, without neglecting our culture as Africans.
All right, just one more question before on the break. Earlier on, she mentioned JAM, CBT, and all that. So in your own opinion, where do you think the fault came from? Do you think the students were not well equipped, coming from wherever schools they were? Maybe they were not well equipped as to what and what, because we had a case of a lady, she answered a question and she was done, and she clicked something she thought that would take her to the next question, but instead they ended the whole process. And you know, she was dumbfounded and all that. So how do we fix this? Yes, JAM registrar, he has apologized. Some people are even calling for his resignation and all that. But where do you think the core problem emanated from?
So there are certain processes to deploying any technological tool, right, that would better the life of anybody. And if you miss any of those processes, you are doing yourself more harm than good. About 3 years ago, I was fortunate to be a part of a tech startup that has now become an operational business, you know. And one of the things I learned, one of the things that opportunity afforded me is what we call MVP, minimum viable product. What does that simply mean? It means that before you go live with any of your products, before you give people the confidence to say this thing is live, you can now start using it, from your MVP, you would have targeted a particular section of people to put it to what we can call a trial use, right? Whatever experience you get from there, it will feed back into the bigger picture of when that deployment is going to go live. So I don't know if the JAMP issue, you know, for the lack of a better word again, if the JAMP issue had gone through the normal processes for what it takes to deploy something as wonderful as that. Secondly, we are also fond of trying to deploy something without putting the necessary infrastructure in place. So take, for example, I hear in certain countries, right, AI is a big thing. They have humanoids, they have robots. As much as those things have some risky perspective to it, but you can only talk well about creating a humanoid in a country where light is 24 hours. Yes. Do you get what I'm saying? You know? So if you want to deploy any of these things, and it is solely dependent on the major infrastructure, you know, the onus is on us to make sure that that infrastructure is well equipped, it is sustainable, it can help to support whatever you are deploying, you know. So two things. I wouldn't know because I'm not part of the team that deployed. I wouldn't know if they went through the normal processes. Was there an MVP before it went live to give confidence that, yes, this thing is working? And then secondly, the surrounding infrastructures that would support it, were they okay? So those are just my concerns, you know.
So you haven't answered the question. You have done a good job, but I'm going to catch you. Okay. Who do you think is to blame? Are we blaming JAM? Are we blaming students? Are we blaming parents? Are we blaming me?
So
yes,
you will blame us here. Yes, I mean, I would say, do you know why?
Yes.
Do you know why? You see, there's something called pinpoint analysis.
Okay.
Before you try to deploy any solution whatsoever. Pinpoint analysis circles back to stakeholder engagement again. It's not just asking questions from the founder perspective. It's also asking questions from the user perspective, you know. You should have seen some of these Google Sheets coming to you to say, we will not take much of your time, 2-3 minutes, you know. The insights you give, you know, at that stage is really paramount to the success of any technological tool. Do you get what I'm saying? Yes. So if they had shared such a thing with students, and students have given their insights to say, this is what we expect to see in this, and somebody took consideration of that, maybe that thing wouldn't have happened. But more often than not, what we have is at the echelon of control, you know, people say, let's just give it to them, you know. However we give it, they would take it, you know. So I think it's a fault of everybody, you know, without mentioning anybody, because there are certain processes to deploying any technological tool.
Thank you very much. It's Just Africa, and we're still discussing digital administration. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the program. Stay tuned.
Augmented reality (AR) is a technology that merges computer-generated images with the user's real-world view, creating a composite experience. This interactive experience integrates various sensory modalities, such as things you can see, hear, and even feel, making the experience interactive and immersive. In recent years, the emergence of this transformative technology has seamlessly integrated digital and physical realms. This groundbreaking innovation relies on specialized hardware like smartphones and smart glasses equipped with cameras and sensors, AR software, and Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core. Then creates immersive experiences by overlaying virtual content onto the user's real-world environment. AR software such as Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core then creates immersive experiences by overlaying virtual content onto the user's real-world environment. AR's applications span diverse industries from gaming to education, healthcare, retail, and manufacturing. In education, AR enhances learning through interactive and dynamic experiences, while in healthcare, it aids surgical planning and medical training. Retail experiences are transformed as AR enables customers to virtually try on products and visualize furniture in their homes. Despite its potential, AR faces challenges such as technical advancements and user privacy concerns. Overcoming these hurdles will unlock even more seamless and immersive AR experiences, making it an integral part of our daily lives. As technology progresses, the horizon for AR broadens, promising a future where our interactions with the world are richer and more interconnected. Augmented reality is not just a trend, it's a revolution shaping the way we live, learn, and work. Goma Fortune, Souq News.
Human ingenuity has birthed remarkable innovations, none more so than the rise of intelligent machines. Computers, once small calculators, have evolved into sophisticated systems capable of mimicking human thought processes. Powered by artificial intelligence, AI, these systems are learning, problem solving, and making
Welcome back to Just Africa. We're still looking at digital leadership, and we have Samuel Ayedu. He is a professional business analyst, project manager, tech leadership enthusiastic, passionate about business growth, strategy development, and process improvement. So now we are going into the AI world. So my question now is, looking at organizations, businesses, and all that, how can organizations ensure that with the rise of automation and AI, people are not left behind, in terms of job and skills?
Okay, thank you very much. I asked that question some 8-9 years ago, right? When I was working in the automotive sector in the UK. That was when the rave about self-driving cars were coming into place, and I remember writing a research then, and one of my final recommendations were AI is coming. Yes, it will take people's jobs, but people need to also equip themselves on the necessary skills, because central to the use of AI is a human factor, right? So sensitization is key, right? And again, like I said, openness of mind is key. I'm doing a personal study right now on the inherent risks of AI based on some of the recent news, right? So I really think that as much as the risks are existent, it doesn't give us an excuse not to prepare for it. Otherwise, like you said, we would be left out, and we don't want to be left out. So AI is a game changer in organization administration, in digital administration. The risks are there, but I think that we must be deliberate about developing our skills, right? Because again, it is the skills you develop that you can manage its risk. If you don't know about something, you can't be talking about the risk. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we must be intentional about developing the risk. And I must say that the Lagos State government is doing a great job, you know, in terms of AI and all of that. I know there is currently a tech hub, you know, something like that, that is teaching people AI for free, right? They started like 3 months ago. I think right now they should be rounding up. 2021 ending thereabouts, I was at the Lagos Tech Fest that happened at Oriental Hotel, and it was amazing. It was encouraging to see His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, you know. He came there, you know, had a fantastic speech about technology and how we should harness it, how we should embrace it for the betterness of the state and, I think, in turn, on a bigger level, the country.
So if I may ask a follow-up question, do you think dependence or over-dependence on AI, do you see any risk, demerits, any disadvantages?
Yes.
Well, yes, there are.
Okay.
And look, I'm a sensitive person, right? And you don't want to throw a blind eye to certain things that you see.
Yes.
If you are a fan of what we call root cause analysis, if you go down history sometimes, you would see that some of the things we have right now, they have already been projected in 1 or 2 movies. I'll give you an example. 2014 iRobot. If you have seen the movie, Will Smith. Last year, Elon Musk was talking about the new set of humanoid that will be coming to your home just exactly the way it is, you know. Other movies like Upgrade, whereby AI took over, the popular one being Terminator, you know, 1, 2, 3, you know how it was, you know. Avengers Age of Ultron, you know. So those things, they clearly depict some of the risks that are inherent in AI. Now, also, I think 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong, or last year, there was a news that was making the rounds about AI copying people's voices, popular journalists' voices.
It's some stations doing it now.
Thank you, you know. So, and for some reason, the real journalists came out and said, I'm sorry, that's not me. Do you get what I'm saying? About 2 weeks ago or thereabout in China, they were assembling a particular humanoid, and then it went berserk and started hurting the people in there. So to answer the question straight, you know, I would really think, there are some things I'm thinking in my mind right now, but we don't want to say, you know, for the purpose of risk management. But I really think that it is high time that we also not only enjoy the benefits that these things afford us, we should also start preparing for the risk that is inherent in it. And how better can you put that? If the grandfather, one of the popular pioneers of AI, he's coming out in the news, an ex-Google staff, I cannot remember his name, he's coming out in the news to say this thing we are deploying has some risk that is detrimental to the future. So it tells you something that you need to actually start preparing for it. So I think people should learn the skills, but at the same time, they should learn, you know, some other ways on how to manage its risk in case we have such an issue like what happened in China where the humanoid went berserk, you know, and started hurting people. Particularly for me, because I'm very conscious of my data and anywhere my name goes to. So I'm sorry, I don't use ChatGPT, you know, But what I did was to learn how to write. I took a writing course some, 3 years ago. So I learned how to write so that when I write, I don't have any issue in the future whereby something is quoting me and I did not say. To cap this all up, I think about 2-3 years ago, if you guys followed the news, there was a popular post that was going on about a particular country asking for people to surrender their facial identity so that they can use to create robots that will be working maybe at customer service centers in some high-classy hotels. So imagine you live here and you go to Singapore, or somebody, your relatives, goes to Singapore and says, the customer service there, I saw you there, you're like, no, where? So they put some incentive to it, get $100,000. You know, Nigerians, very funny. Somebody say, even this my face, what has it earned me? So yeah, the risks are there, But I also think that whilst we're enjoying the benefit it affords, a strategic person, an analytical person would also consider the risk that may be associated with such good things.
I like the fact you talked about risk because I don't want anybody using my face. All right, so talking about something else, it shows that, statistics shows that about 40 plus of the GDP of Nigeria is brought in by small businesses, SMEs. And so when we're talking about governance, we're talking about technology, innovation, digital implementation, we cannot take away the SMEs, we cannot take away the small businesses. What do you think is key for government when it comes to privatization, partnerships with smaller businesses? Because I know they too, they are trying, but they are limited. Yes.
Okay, so fortunately for me, I work with many small and medium, scale enterprises. I advise some of them who happen to be my friends on how they can scale their business and all of that. And just like you rightly said, there is not enough support, from the government. I really think that if the government can strengthen its PPP initiative, that is called private public partnership, right? Some of these businesses will really scale. I know a lot of friends who are considered small in their business, but they are doing great things. If they have that platform, I mean, how best can you also talk about it? WhatsApp CEOs.
Yes.
You know them on WhatsApp. Buy what I'm selling today. Don't take my market elsewhere. Some of them have not even opened any location for a shop or so, and they are doing fantastic. From their room, they are sending things out, So imagine the potentials of what they could do if they have the government support, maybe through enhanced trainings, maybe through grants, and all of those things, So I think the government has a lot more to do. But then on the side of the entrepreneurs, you also need to be aware of some of these policies that exist so that you can't take advantage of them, So if I'm a WhatsApp CEO and I don't know that the government used to give grants, or my state used to give grants for people, the indigenes of the state, to support their businesses, so I'm just playing in the dark, you get what I'm saying? So I think PPP, right, is crucial, and with that, I think everybody will be good, in terms of business. Small business will become big, the country will be better,
All right, so my own final question. If you could give one piece of advice to tech startup, organization, a leader who is starting their digital journey, what would it be?
Okay, so first I would say find a problem to solve, because it all starts from problem solving. Be passionate about the problem, because what we've seen really is people going into tech because they heard that tech is making money. Do you understand? But then by the time they dabbled into it, for some reason, they were victimized. So find a problem to solve, No matter how senseless you think the problem is, just find a problem to solve, Then find people of like minds, you understand, to join you in that journey. So I cannot want to improve your iPad, if working with you, if I don't think that you are passionate about improving your iPad. And again, it may not only even be a problem-solving thing. It could also be a continuous improvement something. The movie, the Wakanda movie, sorry, I'm going into movies. There is a particular line I picked up there. When T'Challa, first got into the village, and his sister came and said, give me those tech tools, He said, what do you need those tech tools for? He said, they're already working. What the sister's response was, how many times have I told you that the fact that something is working doesn't mean it doesn't need improvement? So it simply tells us that even if you can't find a problem to solve, if there is something that is in existence already, you can make attempts to improve it, So by so doing, any digital leader will scale, will find relevance, and then at the other side, we would also impact other lives. Because if your problem-solving agenda becomes a success, do you know the exponential number of people that will benefit from it? So those are the things I think was it. Find a problem to solve. If not a problem, find something to improve. Be very passionate about it, because when you're passionate about something, you will see naysayers. It is your passion that will drive you to it. Then find like minds, go into stakeholder engagement. And then maybe because we're Africans, pray to God.
No,
Pray to God.
The grace factor is key for
pray
me.
to God.
Grace,
So
no.
be passionate about it, go all the way out until it becomes a success. Don't give up, So that's it.
I like it.
All right, so now, okay, I said I had a final question, but
Yes.
let me add this one.
Okay.
If you look at Nigeria today now, and some of the digital transformations that has happened, you would say, yes, we are moving forward.
Yes.
There was a time BVN came in.
Yes.
Then insecurity came in. Then we were told that the national identity, NIMC would come in and we'll have an NIN card, which would be used to, trace some of these activities of the bandits and whatnot, and be able to, get them and all that. But we've not really seen that effectiveness of this NIN. Also, she made mention of Singapore, whereby you can just sit at the comfort at your home, import something and clear it and everything. I'm looking at that also, because if you look at, to clear something in Nigeria today, right now, I don't even know how many days it would take. She said 3 months, right?
Between 2 weeks to 3 months.
That's if you know somebody again.
That's
it.
So, do you see a future whereby everything can be digitalized? I'm talking you clearing your goods. I'm talking you, speaking to someone in China. You, making payment, getting to Nigeria, going online, on customs, wherever, immigration, doing everything, making the necessary payment, and it even being delivered to your doorstep. Do you see what would it take? Do you think it's the mindset? Do you think the people are accepting this digital innovation? Or do you think it's just another political play?
So like I said at the onset of this interview, right, I said, in my experience, what I've seen is when you have certain inhibitions, right, towards something good from coming live, is because there are 1 or 2 persons, that is taking advantage of that particular process. I don't think it is impossible for us as Nigerians to have all of these seamless processes, leveraging on digital technology. What I think we should be careful about is the mindset of the people behind it. We need to get to the proper persons, who are pioneering these technological tools. Because without that, come on. Of recent, I read that the CBN has digitized BVN for people in diaspora. That's a fantastic news. I think just yesterday too, again, I saw, I could say the NNPC to now, they now have a app, I think NR app or something, for you going to buy fuel. Funny enough, I know a particular oil and gas company that was doing that before, but these are the little strides we are making, in terms of improvement, in terms of embracing culture. So if we can make this progress, no matter how minuscule you think they are, then it tells us that we can make it bigger, right? There are potentials to make it better. There are potentials to improve. But the multi-million-dollar question will be, by the time it gets big, who are the people that will be managing it? So at the center of every process, or technological deployment, it's people. If you don't get the right people behind it, you are possibly just embarking on a journey to failure. So I don't think it's impossible for us to get to. If other African countries can do it, we are the giant of Africa, right? I think we should be able to do that too. But it's just a matter of the people, the mindset of the people, the ethics, right, that they maintain. Are they really in support of that thing, or are they just looking out as scavengers to it, to take something out of it? So that's it.